this is a really cool garage item. The only thing I don't like is it ended up getting it's got a dent in the hood, which I can, pretty much fix. And then I can always reshoot this if I need to, put some polish on it, see if it comes out. But this is a really cool barn find, I should say, or whatchamacallit, estate find. Now, one of the things that I do need to do is build mounts to mount this to the wall. Now, the bottom down here doesn't have any holes. It usually has two like clamps, one on the outside here, and notice how it's got teeth, and then on the inside there's another one that holds it to the pipe, be it or the hanger or whatever mounting system it's using. As you can see, he's drilled 4 holes here for something. So my thought process is I'm going to have to run a power cord out of this. So what I'll do is I'll take a piece of paper and I'll trace these out. I'm going to go to Home Depot and I'm going to buy one of those a square pipe mount, and I'll get it so that either these holes or I'll drill new holes, depending on how it is. I'll cock it a little bit. I'll come out of it and angle towards the wall, and in that angle towards the wall, we'll put in a T, and that way when we run our power, we can run it through that T into the light. I would prefer to do it from the bottom, which is probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually mount it top and bottom. The bottom's never been molested with, so it's going to be a lot easier to do that. But yeah, this is a really cool barn find, and for $120, a working light, you can't really beat it. So I'll be back in a little while, and we'll go into figuring out how to mount it, because I couldn't find anything online on how to mount these or make a mount for them. Again, this is as you can see, it is an eagle signal, but it's stamped on all 3 of them because these all come apart too. So if you've got another arrow that goes at the bottom or something of that nature, I think that they can just add or subtract from it. Maybe it's just an arrow light. You never know. So let's wait for our parts and let's get moving forward. So we always wondered why in kindergarten and grade school they taught us how to trace, and here's the reason why. For those out there familiar with cardboard aided design, this particular one's going to be paper aided design, and you just kind of do a rubbing, and that'll give you your bolt holes and everything that you need, and you'll come up with a nice design that you need to find the plate. Now, the other thing we need to take into account is the distance that we need to come off of this to get to our mount. So we generally want to look at this, and as you can see on the tape measure, we're going to measure from the center, and 3 inches seems to be a good spot to come out to. Now that'll give us enough clearance on the wall. If we hold the tape in the middle and swing it at 3 inches, here's where it'll hit on this end, here's where it'll hit on that end. So we will have some ability to swing it a little bit, but not too much. We don't want it too far off the wall. So remember, when we're doing this, let me bring it over here to the table and show you what I'm talking about. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to be coming off of, this is going to be the center pipe for here. She's going to curve up, curve back, and then curve. So this will get us out of here, up over the top of it. We don't need but maybe an inch or less than that here, because we don't need that much lift on it. Then it's got to go back from the center here to here, 3 inches, and that's to clear the light itself. And then again, the center is 3 inches, so it's going to go down, and we want some kind of wall plate. We could even just terminate here, put our wall plate right there, and then it's mounted on the bottom, comes across, mounts there. This goes into a 2x4. Here somewhere, we want to go 1 inch and a T, and then 2 inches. 1 inch to the center. And this will bring our electrical out to that T, and then we can drop down behind the lamp. And that'll give us electrical for that. We can run over to an outlet. Now, if we could get it out of the bottom, that'd be one thing, but for now we're just going to bring it out of the top. We can always clean it up later, but this kind of gives you a basic design of how we're going to do it. So we just need to pick up these pipes and this, I guess it'd be a square pipe fitting of some sort at Lowe's or Home Depot or something of that nature, and then this series of pipes, and that'll allow us to mount it. And then over here we're just going to get the same thing. It's one of those round or square mounts for pipe that goes in, and we just screw it into the wall into a stud, and we're good to go there. So this is our instead of CAD, our pad paper aided drawing. So works kind of the same way. You got your etching, and then you just have to think through how you're going to do it. Also, I'm going to pick up a second one that does have a 3-inch pipe for the bottom, so I can do the same thing at the bottom. The difference is on the bottom there are no holes. I'll have to drill them, but this gives me a good template to get started. Okay, so we just took a trip to Lowe's and came up with a few things. I've got a second camera in so you can see inside as we see what I kind of came up with. Simple to do. I couldn't find something large enough to reach these 4 bolt holes, but what I did find was something large enough to go over it and had bolt holes that go through, so I can actually put 2 of them, one at the top, one at the bottom, sandwiched together, and boom, I've got my mount. So let's head in and start doing that. I want to pull all the light bulbs out of everything and start getting it ready because our electronic thing should be coming pretty soon. I'm going to zip you through this real quick, just removing the covers and everything so that I can get to all the hardware and stuff. So, and you can take these off. There's a little clip here that you spread, and it pops these clips off, and you can slide this off, which would probably be a good idea. Let me go grab my pliers and do that. So these clips are kind of neat. You just spread them apart. They're like a spring clip, and you pull them out, and you can remove the pins. And these are the ones that come with it when it's up on the light pole. So these are the things they're doing when you see them working on them. Okay, and then we just take the rest of these off. I completely forgot what I went to get. Sure, I'll remember as I'm taking these apart. I believe the LED units will screw right onto these screws, I'm hoping. We'll find out once they come in today. That'll be nice. But we do want to hold on to these reflectors because they're not cheap. Okay, now let me find my bag of stuff right over here. So with all this, we can go ahead and disconnect all of it from the main harness here. I'll show you that here in just a second. And get everything out of the way. Maybe put it in a box, label it, save it for later. So this come out of the top, just like so. The screws will actually go in. You can actually see them from in here. If not, we can clearance them a little bit. And then your electrical cord will come out of this side here. And then we have another plate just like this one for the other side that we'll be able to just one bolt through to make sure it all stays together. And then this particular one is just so we can have the electrical come out of it. And then what I did was I picked up an electrical connector that has a pinch line on it. This one's probably not going to work. I'm probably going to have to cut this so I can squish it down farther. But I think this is what we'll use to connect the wire to that. So that's kind of what we're doing. Let me grab a screwdriver. Let's pull this electronics out of here. It'd be nice if we could pull them through the separations. But here, let me show you something real quick. Let me grab this camera, bring it over, put it right there. But as you can see, these are individual pieces that are all screwed together. There's a little clamp thing in the middle that holds them together with 4 screws. So the clamp that holds these together also screws through here. It doesn't use these outside ones. They did these outside ones. So what they should have done was just stuck with what works right here. It's just a clamp, you clamp them together. That's it. So I'm going to go grab a screwdriver. Let's pull this apart. Then if the digital thing does work, the nice thing is you can always sell the parts to somebody that doesn't want digital. So that makes it really easy. Guess what? They're all stainless. Nothing sticks. So here's what it is. At least we'll have a place to put them for now. We'll put them over here. So in this, we just want to disconnect. We're going to need to disconnect all the wiring that runs through except the middle one, because it will stay with this. And everything's labeled in here, so you don't have to worry about messing it up. I am going to go ahead and leave this connector in here. No point in removing that.
I did decide to go ahead and pull all the wires out, and that way I could store them all in a box, and they all be in one place.
I would have replaced these wires with yellow, red, and green, and then you would know they would correspond to their particular light. That'd be the way to do it. Okay, they're all loose, so let's go ahead and tighten all these back up. And for all I know, this may have been put in by them. I don't think so, because they are labeled for the wiring. But yeah, if you're going to do one of these, red, use red. Green, use a green. And that's just from the light to the connector. That's just to tell you that, okay, the common's going to be, or your hot's going to be red. This is going to be that. That just makes it easy to understand. If you're having a problem, it's easy to trace. Yes, everything's labeled, but I'm just, with wiring, I'm kind of a little OCD, maybe? Yeah. Okay. This one goes nowhere. It just goes down to the main switching. So let's move that over here. So my thought process is quite simple. And these bolts go through, just like so, come through the unit itself, and you put the nut on the other end. These are awful long.
So I ended up having to put 4 slots in so that all the bolts fit in real nice. So I got out my die grinder, cut all that out so that I could mount these 2 pipe caps, or I think pipe, whatever they're called. But once I got those grooves cut, then the bolts fit in there really, really nice. Gave it a nice spot to sit in. Of course, you got to vacuum out all of the aluminum chunks, get that all out of there, along with all the garbage that was already in there. It needed to be cleaned up really bad. And then you just tighten your 2 caps together with your 4 screws, and then mount your pipes right on the end. So it's got that flange at the very end that mounts to the wall, and then the one wire that comes out. So I did get my digital controller, and I want to go ahead and cut it off here. I did have to remove the wall mount so that I could work on the light, but the Amazon package finally showed up late in the day. This video has run a little bit long, so I am going to go ahead and cut it off here, and then we'll have a part 3, and that's installing this digital controller, of which was very interesting once you see it and how small everything is. I didn't think it was going to work, but as you'll see, we're getting everything set up for the 3rd video, and look forward to bringing that to you. So with that, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment, any questions you might have, and I will see you in the next video.